Hey y'all, RNT here. I'm so sorry I couldn't be there to celebrate with y'all this year. I hope everyone had a really great time at CAP, and I really look forward to seeing you all next time. Here is RY hosting a panel for the special SummerCAP episode. Tune in for live audience questions and a big announcement.
That was solid, friends. That was solid. This is Love in Brief, a podcast intended for ABDLs to talk about all different kinds of love. Love for yourself, love for others, love for the community, love for your pets and your pet play, as it were. I'm Resident Yes, and I have a distinguished panel with me this week that we're going to dive into some live advice questions, not just for those in the room, but for those who listen to the podcast all over the world. And we get to do it live here at CapCon 2022. Y'all having a good time at SummerCAP? Me too. Before we dive into that, I've got a couple of announcements. The first is you better warm up those vocal cords because I need you to ask questions. And I'm giving away some diapers for you. These are some of our Seaside Princess diapers that if you go to, by the way, to their booth and mention Love and Brief, you get $5 off a pack just for coming to this. So as soon as we're done here, run over there and check in at the booth with those guys. Also, Trest gave us their very last of some of their diapers. These things have sold out like crazy. So the ABDL shop was kind enough to give us some samples of diapers from Trest in small, medium, and large. So these are up here for you. Thank you very much to both of My Inner Baby. Thank you to the ABDL shop for those. We're really excited to give those away. We also have a really fun announcement from Stramatica. Y'all ready to talk to us? Yeah. Y'all ready to do this? Okay. So tell us who you are and tell us what Stramatica is.
So I'm James Frost. So I'm the assistant con director working with Stramatica.
And I'm Kyle, and I'm the communications director working with Stramatica. Stramatica is a pretty cool organization that was founded earlier this year. And the idea was to try and bring different communities together to learn, to educate, to play, and really just make sure we can have an inclusive and diverse community that's kinky, and that's fun, and that's educational.
Yeah, what we really want to hit off is that this is a convention all about diapers. So no matter how you engage with diapers, whether it's age play, little pup, baby fur, any way at all, there's a space for you here.
So our announcement today, which we're pretty excited about, is that Stramatica is pleased to announce that next fall, we're launching a brand new convention called Forever Playland. And we have been planning for this for the last 3, 4, 6 months or so. And so we're proud to say here on Love and Breathe, because it's one of our favorite podcasts, of course, that we're excited to announce that next year, next fall, Stramatica's first convention will be Forever Playland. And it's going to be an event that is incredible unlike any other.
I know what you guys are thinking. Wait, are you allowed to announce a convention at a convention? Don't worry. Everybody said it was cool.
Yeah, we spoke to CapCon, and they're like, look, go for it, right? Yeah, because one of the things that we want to make sure we're doing, and one of the reasons why CapCon is so great and that we really want to make sure we add to the community is, we want to make sure we're helping each other out and that we're promoting all sorts of inclusiveness across the board, that we're able to make sure that people from all diversities, all geographic areas, and people who just really want to explore and learn new things can explore that. So whether that's at CapCon, Forever Playland, or someplace else, Stramatica wants to make sure we're catalysts to make that happen. So that's one reason why we're doing this and why we're really excited.
Tell me about the name.
Forever Playland?
Forever Playland. Yeah, what does it mean?
So it's a pretty cool name. Do you want to talk about the name Forever Playland?
I mean, we obviously just batted around so many different ideas, and there's so many cool events already out there. Like we've got Dream World, CAP, of course, and it was really hard to come up with a name. But we really kind of centered on the play, and how we forever want to be young and play and find different ways to play. So that's really what this event is like all about, is looking at all the different diverse ways that we can come together and play with kind of diapers as that leading piece, and that there's so many different ways to engage with that.
Are there things that people should look for, highlights, features that you're designing around that people should look for?
Yeah, for sure. I think that the first thing that the team really spoke about when we were approaching this journey was this idea of crossover. A lot of times, from my personal experience, when I first started wading my size 13 feet into this community, I was really trying to figure out, like, where do I fit in? And try to figure out, am I an AB? Is it DL? Is it somewhere in between, middle, little, big? But the reality is, the one thing we want to point out is that with this theme of crossovers, the idea is, like, everyone is welcome here. And so what we want to do is create that feeling of inclusiveness. So whether you're, a little, a big, you love leather, you're into pup play, you prefer to just hang out with your friends on a Friday, drinking, a Miller Lite, for example, and you want to learn and engage, this is the place to do so. Everyone is welcome at Forever Playland, and we want to just make sure you can come, you can do what you like to do best, but you can also learn some new things and encounter some new things while you're here as well.
So remind us, when, where, and how do people get involved?
Yeah, no, it's a really good question. So
you're like, I don't know either. We haven't figured that part out yet.
No, so the cool part is the whole Shermatica team is looking at next fall, 2023, to launch this first convention, a full takeover immersion experience. If you want to get involved, you can check out foreverplayland.com right now if you want to. You can sign up and subscribe to our email list, and you can start getting updates as they come. I will say, because, as everyone who's been to CapCon or any other convention knows, it takes a lot of people to pull something like this off. And in fact, there are members of the Forever Playland team in this room right now. If you guys want to just stand up real quick and everyone kind of see who you are, and we can clap for you just a little bit. But the thing that I love about this team is that, we know that we have a lot more work to do. Yep. And everyone in this room and listening to this podcast right now, if you want to get involved, shoot us a note and say, hey, I might be able to offer a class. I might want to help with communications, or I love social media, I can help there. Heck, you might even want to run the convention yourself if you want to do that. But feel free to get involved. Hit us up on our email. Check us out on Twitter, of course. We're there at Forever Playland. Send us some love that way. But awesome. I got to say, this team has been dedicated from day one, and we're just getting started. So we're so excited.
I'm excited, too. Anything else y'all want to share about it before we dive in?
I think we've hit everything. Right?
I think we hit everything.
All
so
right.
We'll see you next year.
James Frost, the Kyle Movie, thank you. How about a hand for them and for Forever Playland? So again, it's a little weird, right? Hey, we're announcing a con at a con, but this is one of the things that I love about this community. You've heard us talk about this on the podcast, is that the demand for our community to grow and to see each other is so high that we can be at one con and say, can we talk about another con? And they're like, hell yeah, because we just want more excuses to get together, don't we? Any excuse. So yes, awesome, and thank you for stepping out and building something great. All right, let's talk some advice, shall we? I've got dips to give away. Age Play Outfitters has equipped us with a whole bunch of Seaside Princesses in medium and large. I've got some Trests from the nice folks at the ABDL shop. The last ones in the building, as it turns out, that haven't been snapped up. So if you've been waiting on that small, medium, or large Trest you couldn't get your hands on, now's your chance. We're going to do some advice. My question to you is, who is our brave first? Yeah! How about a big hand for whoever just stood up? All right. Thank you. I was going to give time to think, and you're just like, I'm in on it. So I'm going to send you right there. I'm going to introduce our panel, so you have a second. We're going to send you right over there. We're going to get into our first question. I already introduced myself as Resident Yes. Let's go to the Kyle Movie. We just spoke, but tell us a little bit about your love.
Yeah, of course. So I'm the Kyle Movie. I would say that what I love is my friends who are in this community. Yeah. They are amazing, and they're in this audience right now. But I will say it is just incredible, the support they show and the confidence they give me from day to day. So that's what I love.
And you're hot. So says the community. Thank you. Next up, Misty.
Hi, everybody. Bienvenidos. I am baby Misty. My love, it's my daddy. It's the first time I've ever brought somebody to a con and been in a supportive, loving relationship. So it's weird, but I'm really loving it.
Stepping out. I love it. Yeah. And it's his first con, right? Amazing. Virgin. Yeah, con virgin. Love him. Dr. Rhoda.
Hello. I'm Dr. Rhoda. Some of you know me as the diaper doctor. I'm glad to be here again. I'm loving that we're back together in an in-person con again after nearly 2.5 years.
Yeah.
I can't believe this. It's wonderful. I'm so happy to see everybody and feel the energy and see all your smiling faces.
Really glad to have you back too. Thank you. Miss Panda Pants.
Hi, I'm Miss Panda Pants. My love is honestly just being here and seeing everybody again. It feels like a reunion. I've met a lot of ABDLs, but I feel like every single one I've ever met is here this week. It's crazy, but yeah, it's amazing to be back with everyone again.
Mm-hmm. I remember we'll take a round of applause for that. I remember our very first parties when there was like 10, 20 of us in a room, Miss Panda Pants, and we were like, will it ever get bigger than this? The answer is yes, by about 1,500 people. All right, Dibs and Brews.
Hi, everybody. I go by Diapers and Brews on FetLife and Insta. Today, for condensed purposes, I'll go with just Brew. My love is for my close friends who are very supportive of me on my first cap, and I'm really enjoying it.
Another cap virgin. Yeah. And Sleepy K.
Hi, I'm Sleepy K, and I guess my love is just, getting to see all my friends and people in my life and seeing people I haven't seen in like such a long time and getting to meet new people.
Yeah, we'll take that. All right, Sleepy K. So we have a distinguished panel. Thank you for being our first brave volunteer. Step on up, tell us who you are, and give us your question, and we're going to do our best.
So I'm Dat Baby Fox on Instagram. I'm also known as Plum.
Yeah, Plum. Welcome back, by the way.
Thank you
to
very
Love and
much.
Brief. Yep.
And also I want to say that my love is for my beautiful, beautiful wife over there, Muffin. She is fantastic. So I actually have a question. With this being a obviously very niche kink, we have to keep this side of ourselves pretty decently hidden, right? So I have my own opinion about how I feel about public exhibitionism in the ABDL kink, but I also wanted to know what the panel's opinion was on this and what advice you could provide to safely and consensually indulge in those urges.
Oh, this is good. You're jumping right in the deep end. I dig it. I have my opinions too, but I'm going to leave it to our panel.
So thanks for that question. And I feel like my position on this is informed by being a parent to young children. And I feel like it's very easy to malign our community and have it go to something misunderstood for something that it's not. So I do have a distinct position where if things are done with discretion, where, it's not going to necessarily invade or infringe on forcing your kink on other folks in those environments that are really vanilla. So I think of amusement parks like Sesame Place. Like, of course, you can dress little, but I feel like there's a line, and even articulating that line is kind of hard because you think if someone legitimately had to wear an incontinence garment and it was visible, nobody would be like, excuse me, sir, like, could you tuck your diaper away? So I feel really conflicted about it, but like I said, I'm probably more on the hide side because of being a mom.
Yeah. Good. Other thoughts from the panel? How do you tackle this question?
I would concur with that to a great degree, and it's not that I think everyone shouldn't be able to express themselves however they want, because personally, I think everyone in the world should be able to express themselves however they want, walk down the street, be yourself, be authentic. But we don't live in that world. And that's the problem, is that then my concern, kind of like yours, goes for people's safety. Because let's face it, in the last few years, and especially this year, things have shifted a lot politically. And not to go political, but that's the reality of the world we're living in. And I see a lot of danger, and it scares the living crap out of me. Because I just know that people are going to get hurt. Yeah. And so I think about people's safety, and that has to be paramount for everyone. That, like, I would love it if all of you could walk down the street dressed like you are right now. But that's not the world we live in. And some states are getting really scary out there. Mm-hmm. So that's my 2 cents.
You're a lot nicer than I am on this one, Dr. Rhoda. Like, I love that you're like, I wish everybody could. That would be really... And I'm like, no, don't do that. But the only reason is, and potentially it's informed by my role as a parent as well, but if I if I could process every possible kink and sexual experience in the world with my child in real time, I would. I can't. There's a lot of stuff you can't explain to somebody who... Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff you can't explain to somebody who has no business being involved in sexualized behavior, and shouldn't. So I think y'all are nicer than I am, and I respect that. For me, it's like, look, so R&T, who couldn't unfortunately be here, she sends her regrets and her love, but she was somebody who wore all the time, right? So I got really used to being out in public with somebody who was in a diaper. However, we went to, I won't even say great lengths, it's not that hard. We went to moderate lengths and were fully successful in not making it so that other people are seeing this and recognizing it as kink. You know what I mean? So I think for us, that was the line was, of course, people can wear. Of course. Some people need to wear. Some people just choose to. Great. But when it starts becoming a publicly sexualized experience for people who haven't asked to be a part of a publicly sexualized experience, that's where we drew the line.
I think it's also important to remember, like, when you see pictures of people that might have posted something online and they're in public, that you don't know everything that's going around. Like, they're most likely private, so don't take that as a cue to go wear your diaper out in public, because there's probably no one around when they took that photo.
Yeah.
And some people take it very, like, seriously, go, oh, I can go out and wear a diaper in public, because they did, but you don't know that it was probably really private, so.
Yeah. I'm glad we tackled this tough one right out the gate. You're welcome. Fox, what you said you have a thought on it too.
I personally think that it's kind of a mixed bag. You should definitely be able to practice it, but you should be able to practice it safely, and of course, no one should know. No one should know. That's the biggest thing, is that anyone around you should not be able to know. It's your own little personal secret.
Yeah. Thank you for that question. How about a hand for Fox for that first one? Come on over and CHD and get some free dips. And also, just one reminder, it's not that hard to cover up a dip in public, just so you know. All summer, all winter, it's not that hard. Nobody's looking for it. It's right? Agreed? It's not that hard. Okay. All right, let's move on. How about our next question?
Oh, hello.
Tell us who you are.
Oh, do I? Oh.
If you don't mind. You can push it down if you need.
No, I feel dominant. I'm asserting my dominance right now.
Right on.
Yeah. My legs hurt. So, I'm Arella. Hello.
Hi, Arella.
What are your thoughts on conventions, like, for people who wear diapers, these babies, in the future, like 10 years, 5? How do you guys, where do you think it'll lead to? Where do you think it'll go?
The conventions of the future. What do y'all imagine? Kyle, is it rude that I'm looking right at you? I know.
For the audience in the radio, everyone just looked at me and was like, you got this.
You just told us you were doing one, yeah.
No, I think that's a really great question. So when I think about the idea of conventions and the experience as a whole, I think they provide a couple of things. One, you realize that you're actually not alone. I think coming to something like this provides some of that validation, and it really helps you accept who you are. I think in the future, these events could possibly become, more localized and more community focused. I think one of the great things about an event like CapCon, for example, is that there's so many people here from around the world. Mm-hmm. But I also think that there are a lot of opportunities for conventions to help connect local communities together and really help expose people to what the larger community is thinking, and ways for community activism, for community participation, and ways to really just help empower and mobilize people who all have something in common to really help make sure the world's a better place. That's my dreamy, future state of what it looks like. But the other thing I said, I want these to be more accessible. I want them to be more affordable. I want them to be in places where there's a lot of transportation. And finally, I just want them to be a place where everyone feels welcome at the end of the day. So that's the future, I think, is where we're going. And it hopefully makes sure that we can be more human at the end of the day.
Well, I don't know how to top that, but good luck.
Yeah, I can't definitely top that. No, I think one of the things I wanted to add, too, is the fact that you have so many new people coming into the community, whether they're coming into age or, a partner that's coming in that maybe isn't familiar with the community, that all of a sudden now they're growing into it, they're slowly learning it, or they come to a convention like this and kind of have a coming to Jesus moment or coming to diapers moment and realize that, oh, wow, this is really cool. This is awesome. And I enjoy this now, or I see now why you get that. They finally, it clicks for them. And so they now can enjoy that even more so in the con space, but also in that personal relationship as well, too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. I love this focus on like the individual experience, but also the community experience, increasing the local nature. Like there has to be something in between local munch and 1,500 person con, right? There has to be something in the middle. So I hope to see more of that so that people can have that first time experience in a more intimate relationship building setting. Thank you for that.
Hello. I have another question that's kind of pertaining to that.
All right. Yeah, you're sneaking in a 1B. Yeah. Go for it.
What was it again? No. Go to sleep. You're in timeout. Go in the corner. With CapCon getting so big and conventions like this getting bigger, what are your thoughts on the general public finding out about this? And do you think in the future it would be either more normalized, or do you think there would be rules or something in place that would try to prevent group meetings like this for a convention of our peoples?
Ooh.
That's a really good question. I have an opinion on this. So, a long time ago, conventions have been going on for a long time, and a lot of conventions with other kinks are actually doing community projects. They work and volunteer during these convention times, and cities actually look forward to their participation because they provide an economic boost and economic growth at the end of the day. And so I think with this kink in particular, there's a possibility that it could become something like that eventually. If you look at the last 5 surveys done by Men's Health, Women's Health, and a few other really great magazines like Cosmopolitan, for example, where they're talking about sex during the course of the pandemic, age play makes one of the top 10 things couples have tried before. And BDSM is put as a separate thing. You could talk about the efficacy of these surveys, for example, but I've really never seen that before when reading, my weekly periodical. And so, maybe in the future it's possible it becomes more mainstream and people understand more, but I think there's an economic case to be made for some of these events that could possibly in the future help, remove some of the stigma that's associated with kink in general. But I will point out, one of our panelists did say earlier that it is getting dangerous out there because there's some states that are moving completely backwards in this area, trying to ban all sorts of expression and all sorts of free speech, including things like this, for example. And there is a great possibility that we go backward in several areas.
That was pretty great. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for that. And I'll tell you what, my hope is that, of course, that it becomes more accepted the same way that I hope all forms of sexual expression become more accepted, more mainstream. So here's hoping. Thank you for that question. Don't forget to come get free dips from Age Play Outfitters in the ABDL shop. Why, hello.
I'm going to move the microphone a little bit. Is that going to offend you, Arilla? Sorry.
Adjusted it by about 4 feet up.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me just, yeah. She's not even paying attention. My name's Tinker Kinkers. My love is all of this right here. I feel like you are all my brothers and sisters and non-binary siblings here, so thank you. My question was, she kind of stole my question.
Oh, right on.
I asked and you said it was okay.
I said it. I didn't say it was okay. Did not consider stealing my question. But actually, maybe I could direct it more towards Dr. Lipscomb, if you don't mind. And thank you. Your book is amazing, by the way. Highly recommend it for.
I did not pay him for that. I swear.
No, I'm serious. A lot of these people in this room are pretty self-actualized and accepting, but especially those people that are on the fringe really pass that book along to them. It's really good. So. As far as public acceptance goes and the future of our community, I'm wondering, we talked a little bit about public acceptance, but I'm wondering if there's any maybe research-driven stuff or studies now being done still that would help us moving forward. And are you doing personally any work in those areas? If you could just talk a little bit about what the future looks like from your side, maybe for us.
Yeah.
Sure. I'd be happy to. Thank you for that question. That's great. I can't say for certain about any current research being done about that. I'm not aware of any. I do know from my own experience, because people know me, so I get a lot of emails and messages from people, and it's mixed, because I see people who, believe it or not, in this day and age with the internet and everything, still think they're the only person in the world who's like this. I still come across those people. And it's amazing how many people are still so isolated. And it's one of the things I always talk about is how so many people are isolated in this community, and which is part of the reason I frequently am encouraging people to come to events like this, because it's so important to see that you're not alone. Like, it's so important to be like, I am not the only person who likes this. I'm not the only person who feels this way. I'm not the only person who's felt this way since I was X years old. You know, and to realize that there is a community out there. And I do think that's so important for people.
Yeah.
Because that isolation, you know, one of the things we certainly learned in the pandemic was how damaging isolation is to our mental health. It can be devastating for most people. You know, your extreme introverts, okay, they loved the last 2 years. But everybody else was kind of miserable. And I know I wrote in the book, thank you again for mentioning that. It was very sweet of you.
The book is called No More Hiding.
It's called No? It's called You're Not Broken.
Oh, what's
That's
No More?
the first book.
No More
I
Hiding
know,
was the first one. You're Not Broken is the second one.
No, it's called You're Not Broken.
Yeah, thank you.
And I lost my train of thought.
Yeah. I apologize because I actually have the book sitting in front of my computer when I record the podcast. You think I would know it by now, but go ahead.
I really did lose my train of thought. Oh,
that's on me.
That's so sorry. What's in the book?
What's in the book? Yeah,
Okay.
that's a good one.
All right. I didn't pay her either.
Yeah.
Like, you two are my new best friends. The book's called You're Not Broken, Dr. Rhoda's Guide to Strong Self-Worth for ABDLs. So it kind of explains a little bit about it. I do remember my train of thought now. I explained like what it is, especially for those people who are new to it, like what it is, what it's not. There is a chapter on some of the important research that's been done, particularly the research that says that no, this is not pedophilia. Hello. In 2022, do we have to still talk about this? But clearly we do. There's a number of chapters talking about how to get over your ingrained beliefs, how to deal with the shame, the embarrassment, the guilt, building a strong resilience, how to talk to a partner, how to explain this to a partner, how to bring it up. There's one chapter just for partners themselves to read so that they understand it. And then I finish it with a chapter for parents who discover that their teenager or their child is wearing diapers, they don't know how to deal with it, they're freaked out. There's a chapter for parents. And once I finished it, I realized there was probably several more chapters I need to add, so there'll have to be a second edition in a few years.
Yes.
There will have to be a sequel, yes. But it's been very well received in the community, which was my hope. You never know when you're writing these things, especially when you're just doing a brain dump of 12 years of experience with people. So I'm really grateful that people have liked it and told me frequently that it's helped them a lot. That made my whole year.
For sure.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And hopefully we'll see lots more, not just publishing on it, but research on it, right? We'll see, to the question originally, like hopefully we'll see lots more of that research on where is it in the acceptance spectrum at a social level? What are people doing today that might be different than when the original research came out? There's been so little research on ABDL on the whole, and I'm so grateful for all that you're doing. Yeah. And Dr. Matt, I think, is working on something with you too, right?
Yeah, Dr. Matt is working on some stuff. I know I briefly talked to him, but I need to talk to him more this weekend, hopefully, and find out. And I still am very committed to doing the research on ABDL parents, because I still get contacted by people who are being slaughtered in court in child custody cases.
Yep.
And so it's so important. There's nothing, absolutely nothing on ABDL parents, and so that has to get done. I mean, that's my personal number one priority, and I might have to figure out how to fund it myself, but
I'll join forces with you on that one. That's a big deal.
Yeah,
that's a big deal.
It is. It's really a huge deal.
And if you're an ABDL parent listening at home, we did do an episode on that, and we did a couple, parenting in ABDL. We also did one on divorce in ABDL when you have kids, and hopefully you'll tune in on that. Ways to participate. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, thank you for that. I will. We'll put it in the show notes, too. All right, next question, please. Tell us, who are you and what do you want to know?
All right. Hello, panel. It's your boy, Johnny Cuddles. Now, my love is for ABDL podcasting. So
All
my
right.
question is for all the people that are up there, like with what I call podcaster level personalities, just the extra folks. And, we're facing this way, you're facing that way. I assume that's all you folks. Now, some of us with this podcaster level personality, most of the folks have more reserved personalities. Everyone's a little quieter. How do we coexist in this world? When you're coming into a new room, into a new group, how do you read that room and temper yourselves to match that energy?
So this sort of big, I'm assuming by podcaster personality, it's sort of this big extroverted sort of vibe.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then walking into a room where not everybody has that vibe.
Right,
Yeah.
right. You're walking in like borderline cringe, and
Yeah.
you got to take it down a couple notches.
Yep.
How do you read that room, and when you do it personally?
Well, this is a fun question because I happen to know a bunch of these folks on this panel pretty well, and not everybody would call themselves an extrovert. I'm not even sure the majority would call themselves an extrovert. I'd love to hear from some of the folks who maybe can navigate both sides of that spectrum. And I think appropriately, the introverts are like, no, you do it.
Yeah. Well, as an introvert myself, I run out of gas pretty quick. I'm going to go take a nap after this because this is a lot of attention
I get
right
that.
now.
I get that.
I think that's the biggest thing too, is knowing your limits. I think if you go into it 100 miles an hour, you're obviously going to crash somewhere down the line, where maybe if you come into it knowing, all right, let's temper expectations a little bit, see where the room is at. If things are happening, things are great. If things are really vibed up, then awesome. Then you can start, turning it up a little bit. If you realize that you're in a more of a quiet, comfortable, just chill environment, then zen out and go from there. It's really, you read the room, you do your best that you can, but I think the people will realize if you're fun, if you're outgoing, if you're one of those people, but also being a little bit more shy and reserved doesn't mean that you don't want to hang out and have a good time. The introversion really doesn't mean, I'm going to go sit over there in the corner and keep answering these questions or anything like that. But it's really just how you go about the things. You don't have to have that game show host personality and show you what's behind door number 1 and give you that really good voice and here's a new car, anything like that. So it's really just how you go about it and how you interact with the other people, because I think if you show that you're fun, intellectual, just a good guy to talk to, they're going to see that.
Beautiful. Thank you.
And building off that, I think a lot of times, I think that, being the more quiet or reserved person in the room, you'll find that people actually appreciate that.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of people who are there are other introverts in the room, and sometimes, they're always looking for someone else who has that same energy because they might be overwhelmed.
Right.
And so just when they see someone who's oh, this person's just chilling here, okay, we can go to this person, we can start talking to this person. And so necessarily I feel like I just went off on a tangent.
No, you're on track.
I think you're spot on,
you're
Sleepy
good.
K.
Yeah. So I feel there's no, I guess I'm trying to match things. Sometimes, I don't know, I'm just rambling about stuff.
Come
That's
at
really
them on their
meaningful.
level.
Yeah, that's really meaningful that you talk about people I want that from you. You're the person I want to be with because I'm more comfortable with that person. That makes a ton of sense. I think I'm unbearable to some people. And because I come in generally with this big extrovert energy and I think I'm probably really uncomfortable for a lot of people. And so RNT finds me exhausting for good reason. And when we go to events, she goes to the other people who match her energy best.
Yeah, I know when I go to events and when I go into really social situations, there are people who are way more extroverted than I am. And not in a million years could I ever match that. And, I try to push them a little bit more, but it's good to have people who I think have that same energy that I have as well.
Yeah.
And so it's always comforting to find that.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So you actually find, there's a minute. You actually find if you're into Myers-Briggs type indicator that pairings of partners are generally extrovert introvert, not always, but it kind of makes sense because if two people are together and they're both introverts, they're never going anywhere, and if two people are extroverts, they're going to be too crazy and like drive off a cliff. But I would say major shout out. So I'm an extreme extrovert on Myers-Briggs, and like only clowns are more extroverted than me, and I hate clowns. So I would say shout out to the folks that are introverts because I encounter them as amazing listeners, folks that have the opportunity to take in and observe. So while I'm doing my almost clown act of being loud and engaging and like not reading the room and coming in too much, as you said, it's the introverts that really meter and measure and bring that to a more center.
I do think the world rewards extroverts more for no good reason. I think I get an undue reward for coming with the energy that I bring. And it's only in the moments where I realize that's dumb and I shut up for a while and ask questions and listen, that's when I get this amazing wisdom from the more introverted people in the room. So I think a lot of it's on folks like me to shut up for a while and say, okay, what can I glean from you? I'm willing to wait to get it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If my little boy has taught me anything, it's that I need to shut up and listen to him sometimes. Because he is definitely the introvert. And what you were saying, it's absolutely true. The extrovert will just adopt an introvert. Like, oh, we're friends now. And the introvert's just like, okay, I guess we're going this way. So that's very true.
Thank you for that. And here's to more ABDL podcasting. Bring it on, bring it on. I want as much as we can get, right?
Absolutely.
Yep. Thank you. Hi there. Tell us who you are and tell us what you want to know.
Hi, you can call me N13. I just really want, my love is this CapCon, the people I've met on Instagram and met them here.
Yeah.
And what I want to do is just say I love your show. You guys are amazing. Thanks to panel. And thanks CapCon for having you here.
That's it. Thank you. Wow. We'll take it. I'm grateful. Thank you. Boy, somebody come up just to say they love us. That's all right. We can handle about 15 more of those in a row.
I was going to say the answer to that question is the Declaration of Independence.
Yes, I agree. 100%. Hi there.
Okay, if you want me to tell you I love you, I can just do that.
Yeah, please.
No,
that's all we're accepting from here on out.
No, I'm Little Fox and Rose, and this is my first cap. I have two questions. It's both our first caps.
Cap virgin.
And the first question is kind of related to that. I've had this as a part of my life for my basically entire life. She has never been exposed to this until about a year and a half ago, like completely new. And like when we walked in, I didn't know what to expect because first cap. But when we walked in, I was completely comfortable with everything here. And it was like, it's a lot. Like, it's a lot. And she was a little overwhelmed, and like we talked about it and we worked it out, but I'm wondering, for people in a similar situation that are bringing someone that may not be as familiar with this worldview or lifestyle or whatever you want to call it, do you guys have any advice to help for that transition?
What a good question and a big one. Any advice for people who they're new and trying to transition into this?
So if I understand you correctly, you're looking for advice for your partner, right? For how to help them?
Well, I mean, we kind of talked it out, and we actually got to a really good place. Like, it wasn't a huge problem for us, but it was more like, this is a thing I feel like couples will experience in our community. Right. Like, this is going to be a common issue. And I was just thinking, like, any advice for people experiencing similar issues?
That's great.
And I do encounter this a fair amount of the time. And I often, when I'm talking to partners about it, I let them know a couple things. First of all, you're right, it is a lot. Because there's so much energy. Like yesterday when everybody was arriving, oh my God, after being gone for 2.5 years, it was like, okay. Hello to all of you too. It was a lot.
Yeah.
So a partner here for the very first time, yes, I'm sure your partner was overwhelmed. But I always tell them, it's like, once you get past that initial shock and that initial overwhelm, I always tell them, I want you to notice people's faces. Is that I want you to look around, because it's this group of people who've been forced all their lives to hide this. They've been hiding this part of them forever, and this is now a space where they can let it out. And they can feel safe for a few days to be themselves. And what you are going to see is you are going to see so many happy people who feel relieved and authentic and seen. And it's such a beautiful thing. And to get past that kind of feeling of overwhelm of like, oh, there's so many people and it's so crowded and it's noisy. And it's like, no, look around and watch that. And watch your own partner. Watch how they do. Watch how they can come out and blossom and get to finally be themselves, and notice the differences in them, whatever those are. How they can feel happier, more relaxed. Do they sleep better that night? Well, maybe not the first night, but
or at all, any of the nights, but maybe when they get home.
All of it. Yeah, but just notice their mood. Like, are they happier than usual? Are they, do they manage stress better? Like, just notice that, because I think sometimes when partners can see that really makes a difference for them to go, oh, this is why this is so important to you. And I have seen couples who've come and the first time and, the partner's really nervous because maybe they're a little more introverted and they're like, oh, there's going to be 1,500 people. And yet once they get here and once they can do that, it makes so much difference. So that's usually my best advice to people, is to be able to do that.
That's great. I'll add from my own experience that you have to be willing to say to your partner, it's okay if we go do different things for a little bit, because it is a lot. And if it's like, I need you to be my accomplice in all of this, that's a big ask. But it is okay to say, hey, would you like to come with me to this class? And then you can go do whatever for a while, and I'm going to go do whatever for a while. And creating that separate space is, I think, really important and okay. Yeah. Thank you for that question. I think that's a really important question.
Can I ask my other question really quick?
Sure, please. Please.
Any ideas of where Forever Playland is going to be had? Is there like a short list or like city-wise?
Well, we have some ideas, but it will be in the United States.
In the U.S. Continental or Hawaii?
Actually,
incontinental.
We'd love Hawaii,
United States.
But it's 48.
Boo. Actually, it's already sold out. Sorry, everybody. You had to click it in that 1 second when Kyle said it, so better luck next year. That's just how the demand is, man. That's how it is. Well, coming up, tell us your name and tell us what you'd like to know.
Hello. You can call me Top Hat.
Right on.
I guess my love is for seeing people that I haven't seen since before the pandemic here.
Yeah.
So it feels like a great reunion. My question is on kind of the dichotomy of information you would point a friend or a partner to who's completely vanilla new to ABDL and wanting to learn about that versus what you would tell a therapist who does not have any experience with that. What kind of like professional journal type information would you direct their way?
So what do you tell a new partner versus what do you tell a therapist?
Yes.
Yeah. Ooh, this is good. I think most of us have. There's a therapist at the table,
Yes,
so I'll be gentle, but
another for the resident expert.
Everybody suddenly turned and looked at me.
I would love to know from you guys, like for those of you who have talked to partners or have talked to therapists, and then I'd love to hear from an actual therapist, but what did you share and what are you glad you shared or not glad you shared?
So I actually, when I started therapy, looked for someone who was kink friendly, sex positive, etc., not necessarily well versed in the ABDL age play realm, but what I did express to her, I pretty much expressed everything that was on the table within reason, what was appropriate at the time. And it's funny because some sessions for me don't center solely around, diapers, age play, little space, etc. They'll come up here and there, but a lot of times I find that it's the other goings on in my life, which nothing's going on in my life. I'm fine. Everything's fine. Those kinds of things, and then certain other things will pop up, and she'll catch on those things. And it's interesting too because sometimes I'm teaching her a little bit about those things, and that also kind of feels good and fun in some ways, because like if they're not, the ABDL expert over here, you can teach them a little bit more, and they become now a little bit more well versed if somebody else that they have a client of shares in those same kinks that you do. So.
To build on what Brew just shared, there is a National Coalition for Sexual Freedom that maintains a kink-aware professional directory. And you can find a clinician there, you can find a massage therapist. They have compiled, it's actually global, so it's not just in continent, it's outside of continent.
Oh my God.
As well. I had to do it, I'm sorry.
Oh my God.
But to that end, I've only gone to see clinicians that were there, and comparably, I knew that the individual I was dealing with had the subtext that I had this as part of my life. It was not necessarily the focal point, but I have heard horror stories from partners that went to like an EAP, the Employee Assistance Program, and saw a clinician, and the clinician flipped out. And then they were concerned because they had gotten to that clinician via their workplace, and they didn't know if there was a back channel. So I've heard, horror stories as well, but feel free to use that resource. It's incredible. There are attorneys in there. There's meditation people. There's a nice, list there.
Yeah. That's the National Coalition for Sexual Freedom. Yep. What about talking to partners? I think that came up as well. Have any of y'all discovered things that you were glad you shared with a partner, or things you wish you hadn't shared with a partner? Oh, yes. Simple answer, yes.
Yes. Those kinds of things, I feel like when sharing with my partner, sometimes there's a feeling of like, I wanted to tell you this, but I didn't want to tell you this because I didn't want you to get worried about this. And then you suddenly start going down that spiral. But in a way, they won't know how to help you until you speak up and say something to them. If it's helping you by helping you, or if it's helping you not by helping you. And it's not saying that in a bad way. Like if you are like, hi, I'm dealing with this, I don't know how you can help. You're not saying that in a bad way, but they're like, okay, well, if you figure it out, I'm here for you. Or if you just need 5 minutes to go and chill, like, cool, I'm in the kitchen making snacks, like whatever, like I'll be here when you're done. So stuff like that, I think is important so long as you're comfortable with it. And again, if you have someone who is aware of the kink, respectful of the kink, great. If it's someone who is new, you're not necessarily, if you're still delving into that, well, that's a whole another can of beans, but you really have to feel that out too. I said that before, feel the room, read the room and see what you feel from there. And if you feel comfortable with confiding in someone like that, then by all means go for it. I've had some coworkers who I've spoken to about my ventures into the polyamorous world, and I think I can count on one hand how many I've told, but it's because I trusted them. It's because I trusted them implicitly, and they were very, very supportive of me, and I thankfully did get the reaction that I was hoping for, and they were like, look, if you have anything else that you need to talk to me about, feel free, because it was starting to affect my work too, but that really helps when you can go to not only just a partner, but somebody else who is very, very trustworthy on that front.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Great question. And I'll say for my part, I don't know if you all have experienced this, but sometimes I've been to a therapist and shared this part of myself, and it became the only thing they focused on, because to them it was so weird and wild and out. This must be my problem. And they weren't rejecting it. They were just like, oh, this is the thing. And I would come in and want to talk about something else. And they were like, yeah, let's get back to the freaky diaper business. That's not a good therapist either for you. So it's not, accepting is one part, but sometimes it's also, do they have insight for you? And can they see beyond this, that this isn't the only thing in your life? Awesome. Come on up, let's talk.
Hello there, I'm Short.
Hi, Short.
Hi. Should have known. Bunch of dads on there. Fucking dad jokes. That's on me. My name is Skywalker Ranch.
Yeah.
My pronouns are he, him, and I'm really nervous, so I'm going to stutter a little bit. I apologize in advance. My love goes out to, I love everyone here in this room and in the con in general. However, I would like to send my love out to all of those who could not make it to the con for whatever reason, personal, financial, family, whatever. I almost didn't make it myself. To those listening, I appreciate you and your scene, and I hope you can make it next year.
Agreed. Thank you.
But sort of tying into my nervousness, I felt overwhelmed from the moment that I stepped into the con. I've been engaging in the community more or less for the past 10 years, so I didn't think I was going to have these feelings of nervousness. But I am, and I felt that I've been tying myself more towards people that I knew before the con and trying to experience it with them in a way that I think is just not helpful in trying to help myself engage with the community at large, which is kind of what the whole thing is. So what would any of you suggest for just screwing the nerves and getting out there, for lack of a better reason?
Ooh. Whatever. How do you get over those nerves? That's really good, because I still get nervous every time, too. How do you get over them?
Coming up and doing a podcast panel.
Yeah. I like that it's your first con, and I'm like, you want to sit in a podcast panel?
Dude.
And you were like, sure.
He texted me, and I'm like, oh, sure. I feel like I couldn't say no. I literally felt the same exact way as you last night. I kid you not. And it was overwhelming. I felt extremely just out of body, nervous, all that things. And I think it's just taking the time to take care of yourself. If that's going into a room and chilling by yourself, awesome. If that's getting food, comfort food, something just that helps you, that's great. If booze is your thing, don't go overboard, but have a drink. It's one of those things that I think you just really, you took the biggest step in coming here, first of all, and that's huge in itself. And so if that's the step that you take for now, awesome. And don't be afraid to take more, but if it still feels foreign and uncomfortable to you, that's okay. Like, just feel it out, and that's going to be my slogan today is just like read the room, feel it out. I've said that 3 times now. The next time I say that, somebody throw something at me. Just really act on those thoughts. Don't mull over them too long, but really take care of yourself, and that's really important. And if you have those people that you resonate to, then awesome. Stick around them. That's what really matters. So
yeah, I'm curious.
I'm here too.
Miss Panda Pants, you and I have been to a bunch of these, to the same ones. I get nervous every time. Do you still get nervous every time?
Oh, yeah. I always get nervous. I think it's also important to remember that pretty much everyone gets nervous before they come here, especially on the first day. Most people here are open to making new friends, so to talk to people, it's not like most people want to chat and hang out in common areas, go to classes, go to things. Like, try to, involve yourself. If you want to be social and meet people, that's the best way to do it, because everyone's here to do that too. I don't know.
It is amazing how open people are to just that immediate, I've never met you in my life conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just talk to people. I don't know.
Yeah.
Also, Skywalker Ranch, I've seen you online, and I've also, seen, I think we're in the same Discord group together. Yeah. Yeah, so
cool.
You're on the right path. You don't have meeting people and stuff doesn't necessarily have to be in person. You can always just meet people online and just build that repertoire online, and take just take those steps, and then you'll know people, and then it helps you get to know people beforehand, and so when you go to events like this, you'll have familiar faces, familiar personalities to be around, and usually just having having that is really comforting in itself.
Your guys' advice is so much healthier than mine. I was like, you should take up smoking, because the smoker's pit is always full of... No, that's terrible advice. That's terrible advice. Thank you for that question, Skywalker Ranch. I love that. Yeah. Bruce wants you to drink. I want you to smoke. This is a terrible advice show. Don't listen to us. Hi there. And you can pull that mic right down to you.
Hi, I'm Miss
Hi.
Princess Kitten.
Hi.
I've kind of got a threefold question. And it kind of follows up with a lot of the other questions that have been asked about like being more open in the community and whatnot. Well, there's this separate community on Instagram and a little bit on TikTok, and I'm sure Miss Panda Pants can attest to this, and that is the age regression community.
I thought we hit a third rail with the first question. Buckle up. Yeah. Bring it on.
One, how do those of you who are active on social media deal with this community? The other one is how do we, because a lot of this community is full of minors, and trying to educate them on like, hey, you're actually practicing in BDSM things just by saying that you have a daddy. That is a power exchange. It doesn't matter how you cut it. That's what this is.
Yeah.
And then how do we sort of bridge the gap with the just like the general community and saying like, whoa, you guys are seeing this thing and you're accepting it, but then you're seeing us and we're pedophiles for some reason.
Right.
Even though what they're doing is very harmful. And then how do we go about that sort of education with that community without getting doxxed, because this is the same generation that just doxed the Supreme Court. So I don't think they're going to stop with just some rando on the internet.
There's that note of danger again. Yeah. Volatility. Anybody have first thoughts on this? I mean, this is certainly a really hot topic and a difficult one to deal with. Everybody's like, I don't have gloves thick enough to grab this topic. Well, I'll be happy to share my thoughts as nascent as they are, because I don't know that much, so it's all new. But I do think that we have a problem with terminology, for sure, because there are some people that practice age regression that are ABDLs that get confused when they see something like age regression community, and they go, I want that, and then they get in there and they're like, this isn't ABDL, or it is ABDL, but why are there people that shouldn't be here? And this is certainly a problem of terminology. For me, the bottom line is any community that engages minors in kink practice or sexual practice is out of bounds. That's an inappropriate thing to do, and there's not a safe or healthy way to engage minors in sexual practices or kink practices. Full stop. Period. Here's where it gets blurry. Yeah, you're clapping for me now. You just hang on to your butts. Here's where it gets blurry. For people that are underage, who have, as many of us did, have these thoughts of like, I wish I were younger, or I wish I could have an age regression experience, that may find therapeutic value in talking with someone about that. The resources are scant and hard to find. And so I think sometimes they end up in a whirlpool that sucks them into this cloudy, weird area of like, I want to feel better about who I am, and yet there's these kinky people who are saying kinky things to me in a community that pretends to not be sexual. And I think that's probably where that happens. We need to have an answer for people who are minors who don't know what to do with this feeling, as many of us had it before. It's not like the day I turned 18, all of a sudden I was like, you know what sounds nice? But I didn't have a place to take that, and so I wandered into this vortex that I think many find themselves in today. I wish we had a better answer for them. I think we should have a better answer for them, but I don't think the answer is to blend kink and being underage. I don't think that's the answer.
I think just to clarify, a lot of my experience, at least through my Instagram feed, is people that are within our community reaching out to not reaching out, but they've commented on one of their things and being like, you're not supposed to be here, and here's why you're not supposed to be here. You're engaging in BDSM activities.
Right.
You should stop.
Yeah.
And them giving that pushback of like, I'm allowed to be here, you're the freak.
Yeah. God, that's ugly, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know what I would have done if somebody had told me that.
The only resource I know of for minors who feel like they're ABDL or into any age regression, age play is Nuck the World, NUK, which they promote primarily for minors and create a safe space that's for minors so that they don't have to feel like they're being attacked or can get information, try and learn about themselves. And it's a great site, and it also has a page for parents who have come in contact with figuring out what their children are doing, and it's at least something. I know it's not enough. You're right. We need a lot more, because this is a common problem in most of the different communities. Is that for teens who we all figure these things out about ourselves earlier than the world would like to think we do. Yep. And yet there's no resources. So
yeah, we have a long way to go here.
I'm curious, the Big Little podcast would cite and send folks that might not have been of age to scarletine.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's still a resource or if that's still up, but...
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
But
one.
Mako would give a distinct, do not listen, this might be explicit content. If you are underage, check out scarletine.com.
Yep. The thing that I don't understand is, I know that, so for instance, doing a podcast, I can't control who listens to it. I put explicit on it. I let people know it's a sex podcast. It's in the sex category. I can't control who listens to it. And so every once in a while, somebody will send a note and says, hey, I'm 16 and I'm really struggling with these feelings. And I send, right, yeah. And I send back a note and say, here's a resource to go look at. I encourage you to talk to a licensed therapist or a counselor or somebody that you trust about these feelings. What I don't do is say, ooh, gross, you're terrible, get the fuck out of here. You should be ashamed. That was the message I got just from the world at large. I can't imagine if somebody had written back to me and said that. So this notion that the second you turn 18, all of a sudden, now you're acceptable, that doesn't work. But we also can't say welcome into our kink community because this is sex, and we can't do that. That's not right. So my hope is that we do create more resources for kids who are having these experiences without telling them they're gross and they're shameful and they need to get out. Thank you for that important question. It was really good. Friends, we're at the 1 hour mark. We've got 27 minutes left. Do you guys have enough energy to keep going? We feeling good? All right. This is a long episode of Love in Long, isn't it? Hi.
Hi. Hello, friends. My name's Amanita. Amanita Dreams on Instagram and sometimes FetLife. I was hoping I would have a bit more of a softball question for you after that one, but this also might be a bit of a third rail. My question is around buying shit and the ethics of doing so. In the past 5-10 years, the number of ABDL companies has exploded, and many of these companies are owned by a handful of folks. Many of these companies, or many of the folks involved, have in the past exhibited behavior that is either ethically dubious or in some cases downright bigoted. So I've noticed sort of two schools of thought around this. There's the school of thought of your purchasing decisions should reflect the people that you want to platform and sort of the community you want to create and the people you want to support. Versus the other side, which is it's just buying shit, there's no ethical consumption under capitalism. So I'm curious where the panel sits on the spectrum of your purchases should reflect the people you want to support and the community you want to create versus it's all sort of a wash anyway, and you don't really have that much control.
Holy shit.
I'm not looking to put any individual companies on blast.
Sure,
there are a lot of logos on the screens we're not going to mention.
Sure. No, I appreciate that. Man, I hope the next question is, are diapers good or something? Amanita, this is great. This is great. Let's talk, friends. How does sort of your ethic fit into your purchase decisions?
Why am I holding this mic? Man, I'm just gonna tell you, it's a lot of shit. And what I'm thinking about that is if you've kept up with all these all the different companies and all the history, it's you really, I don't know, the way I've come to it is okay, XYZ company has done this. But then also XYZ, the other company has done this, and the other XY, and these are the sources of the diapers and the baby things, I just have to pick the one that's the least problematic to me, and just really do that, and then but at the same time, really double down on the back end my stances for the things that they're that I oppose, like the views that I have that oppose what they've said. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I have to double down, like I guess my stance against the problematic things that they've said. And unfortunately, that's kind of like the whole system that we live in. And I mean, it's just like a very microscopic version of like unfettered capitalism and all that other shit. But like, that.
Yeah, thank you.
And then you take this outside of the ABDL realm, and then there's more companies and restaurant chains and all these other things that will breathe in the same realm. And in one case or another, I'm sure that nobody is 100% absolved. I'm sure somebody's got a skeleton in their closet that nobody's revealed yet, that something comes out and all of a sudden, oh damn, there's this company's going down the tubes or whatever. I'm not saying ABDL companies solely, I'm saying anybody in general. But
yeah, the reason I ask in the context of ABDL specifically is because we're still like a niche, right? And we're still like pretty small. So it feels like purchasing decisions could have more impact than like, choosing where you buy gas. Like.
Yeah.
Except gas is ridiculous these days. I think being respectful of others' choices if they have those opinions on those kinds of things, but also demanding that same respect too. If you feel strongly about a company and say you won't buy from them, people should respect you for that and not like slam you for that. But like, wow, no, that's your prerogative. That's your choice. You choose to spend your money where you want to, and that's perfectly fine.
Personally, I won't buy things from companies that I know personally have done shitty things. That's my thing. But there's also so much interpersonal drama in the ABDL community that sometimes you don't know what's true, and companies are ran by a lot of ABDLs, so sometimes I just have to make my own choices on that and what's real and what isn't. But if I personally know that something shitty happened, then I decide not to buy from them.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. And I would encourage us, just as people in general, to just like not think to ourselves, if I stop buying, nothing's going to happen. Because, Bug's Life teaches you that if everyone stands up and do something, you can defeat the grasshoppers. And like, we're living in a society today where like, it is hard sometimes to try and make ethical and moral stands when our leaders are not making ethically moral stands. Like when I think about like climate change, for example, and the fact that like, it's a bad thing and we need to do something about it. If everyone just said, oh, well, Kylie Jenner isn't going to stop flying her private jet, then we could never do anything about it. So it's my personal opinion that, you have money in your pocket. Make a decision of where you want to spend that money, and if it matches your values and it's important to you, then let's do that. And let's just figure out how we can make these changes together, because there are a myriad of ways we could do that, but it has to start with me, it's got to start with you, it's got to start with people in this panel, just to really make sure that we make the world a better place for the people who come after us. I'm black, people on the radio don't see that, but I have to say that like I can't sit back and just casually say, well, you can just, do something over there and it's fine because it doesn't bother me. Because sometimes that political or difference of opinion is just a human right issue for people who look like me and people who look like people in this room. Yeah. And so it's just critical that like, if you feel that your dollars are an expression of your speech, which it kind of is according to the Supreme Court, then spend those dollars in the way that makes your speech the most effective. And, really, really make sure that you stand up for what you believe in, because if you don't, nobody else will.
So I feel like this is the crossfire counterpoint, and I hate to intellectualize this. So Harvard Business Review published an article that wanted to align purchasing actions versus stated positions on whatever it is. So this was environmentally pro-people. And ultimately what won in buying decision, when it was measured against folks that espoused those values, was what was the cheapest thing and what was the most convenient thing. And I think all of us can think of a situation where like, all right, well, I needed this right now, and I might not love this provider. If anyone has an iPhone, by the way, there are a lot of controversies about sourcing these items. And then I feel like it's everyone's personal decision to use their dollar as they wish. But at the same time, if you're going to pick and choose, in the ABDL world, it is individuals. And it's funny because the very first diaper company for adults is Bambino, and it's a huge corporation. And we'll never know what the values are or the decisions because these smaller companies, it's a human being who's very fallible, and they can have a bad day or they can be misinformed. And then how do you come back from that if you didn't know the impact on the LGBTQ plus community or the trans community? And then I feel like there's got to be some place for education. So someone gets vilified on a viewpoint, and maybe they needed to be educated, but there's never a bounce back. You're screwed forever. You have been doxxed, and you can never recover from that. And I'm not saying it was wrong to address that behavior or educate the person, but in a community that's so small and already marginalized, think how much it must stink to never be able to show your face again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think that's a really good point, and I think we agree on several things here. It's not a zero-sum game, though, to be very clear, right? And I think that's the key. At the end of the day, like there's no zero-sum game here when it comes to buying with your dollars and where it is, because I think you are right. We have to make choices, and sometimes we make the choice that's not good for us at the end of the day. But I think you need to try and do what makes sense for you and what feels right, and I think that's where we agree on this conversation.
There's so much that seems to be an individual level decision here. Like I keep hearing from everybody, it's like I make my choice with my dollars, and I'm gonna screw it up. Like I can say I personally have never bought an environmentally friendly disposable diaper because there isn't one. Right? Never once. Is it an issue that matters to me? Yes. Apparently it doesn't matter to me enough to give up diapers. Apparently. However, I have avoided some companies because of practices that I find violate human rights. So apparently, I care about that more. I don't know. Ultimately, one thing I love, because I also work in this area, one of the things that I love about the way that we kind of vote with our dollars, so to speak, is that this is a vote that never gets gerrymandered out. This is a vote that never gets lost to ID requirements. This is a vote that never gets stuck because it was voted by absentee ballot. It works every time. And so this vote that you're putting in with your dollar, this one's going to stick. It seems to me that the opinion of the panel is just do your best and work with the best info you have. But certainly the impact on the small business, man, that is outsized. And for everybody who's like, I will never again eat from X chicken restaurant that's not open on Sundays because they're bigots. Well, that's not why they're not open on Sundays, but they don't eat there because they're bigots. Anyway, they go across the street, and I'm like, do you have any idea what Dave Thomas thought about race? Do you have any idea what Ray Kroc thought about the little man? Probably not. Are you willing to eat at Wendy's and McDonald's because you simply don't know? Sure. That's your individual. You just haven't done the work. Neither have I. I don't know what Ray Kroc thought about the working man. Probably not much. But I do think I think it behooves us to find the issues of passion we care enough about to actually do the work, and then allow the small business to grow out of their bad choices. Yep.
Thank you for your thoughtful response.
Thank you for that amazing question, Amanita.
Congratulations to those of you that also had Bug's Life reference on your bingo cards.
Yeah, Bug's Life. Way to sneak that one in there. Hello there.
Hi, I'm Stony Little Fox.
Yeah.
What was your example question? Are diapers good?
Oh, yes, they are. Panel, do you think diapers are good? 7. 7 out of 10.
No, when you had said that the pandemic kind of showed us how dangerous isolation can be, that made me think back to sort of more the beginning of the pandemic. When there would be sometimes like a month where the only socializing, when it was really like on lockdown, the only socializing I did was with ABDL friends playing like Jackbox games on Skype because of being a more niche community, those online community, like the infrastructure already was there. Because in order to find more people like you, you have to be able to go farther than just whoever's living nearby.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if anyone else thought that, even though it seems kind of like a paradox, that maybe being in a more taboo community may have sort of, at least mentally, like helped some of us through the pandemic a little easier in that isolation aspect than anyone else.
That's really intriguing.
I'm going to sit down while you guys respond.
Thank you, Stony Little Fox, for that question. Did having to navigate ABDL world make you more prepared for the pandemic?
Why do I keep doing this?
For those of you listening at home, every time Sleepy K picks up the mic, he then looks at it in horror, like, why have I done this again? I love it.
Yeah, for the most part, I think it actually has, because, like, honestly, my ABL friends were pretty much the only people I could interact with for those few months at least.
Yeah.
And like they really got me through. Like we got like you did the Jackbox. Yeah, we did something similar. I think actually Sprite over there hosted one, a few actually, and they were fun, and they really helped like keep like my like. They helped me remind me that I still have some social skills somewhere, but no, they were really helpful.
You're going to have to help me on this one. When did we come on as transcribers? When did you get the gang of us together?
The Scribies group. That would have been pre-pandemic.
Pre-pandemic.
But just barely.
Yeah. Okay. So, shameless plug. I'm one of the transcribers. Hi.
Wait, can I also shameless plug? Will you guys please give a round of applause to the people who transcribe every episode of Love and Brief? Thank you. You guys know who you are, and I'm looking right at you, and I don't know where H and Tux are, but yes.
I'm sorry, we're behind.
Yeah, we're a little behind, but whatever.
So joining that group helped in some realm for me personally, because now I got to know a good amount of people online to navigate through this pandemic. I met my partner through the pandemic. I met many other people locally through the pandemic. So I think something about the isolation in itself and being a little more closed off clicked something in my head and switched something on of like, I really need to start acting on this or like doing something more with this, because it's like I felt, and I had a friend who was encouraging me to get on FetLife and kept kicking me in the behind, and I was being stubborn because that's how I am. And finally, when I did it, she's like, see, I told you. I'm like, yeah, you were right. But finally, once I started doing that and reaching out to new people and meeting new people, now seeing people in person and actually putting a face to a profile name or picture is really, really rewarding. And I think had it not been for that little shove with the pandemic, I don't know where I would be right now. So
yeah, that's a really cool question. Thank you for that, Stony Little Fox. Appreciate that. And we saw so much creativity during the pandemic on how we would reach out. Things like ISO Storytime came up, and regular groups came up that weren't there before. It was amazing. All right, we've got time for 3 more. Go for it.
Hi guys. So I'm Mr. Pastel Green. Good to be here today. So I have for a few years now been sort of a low-level community organizer. I host a munch back home and have worked with a few people to do some larger sort of region-specific events. And in the last few years, and particularly during the pandemic, actually, I've really noticed that this community is more diverse than ever. And I think one of the things coming out of the pandemic as events have started up again that I've been trying to be very conscious of and have been looking to sort of broaden my understanding of is what are some basic or even sort of more nuanced ways that small-scale event organizers can create an inclusive environment and sort of welcoming safe space for a very diverse community.
This is good. And I know some on this panel have done some organizing themselves in small scale. How do you create more inclusivity and diversity? The mic moves over.
It's a really good question. And it's also like a passion project of mine as well, and my local community as well. I think one of the first things is taking a look at where you are and what your current community looks like, your friends, your circle group, people you hang out with Monday through Friday, and seeing what that group looks like. I think it's really important for us to kind of understand how our environment really shapes what the self-made environments look like at the end of the day. and then figuring out how do we expand beyond that. I know in my local community, for example, we've purposely tried to hold events on different locations throughout the city to really try and make sure people who live, say, in the suburban area versus the city versus uptown versus downtown can really have an opportunity to come. And then also finding ways to have things that are not just happy hours, for example, but other active events that might be indoors or outdoors. So people who might not really like bar culture, for example, can also come out to these events. And then messing around with time and dates as well. In my local community, which is very... it's a very like 9 to 5 kind of gig, and everyone thinks they're really important, and they're like always on their cell phones. People tend to gravitate towards quick happy hours around like 7 to 8 p.m. so they can just quickly come after work. But there's also a lot of people who don't work in that city life who would like to do things on the weekends. I think that's really important. But I would say that just asking this question is a step in the right direction, because there are so many groups and organizations who do not realize they need to do outreach beyond their core circle, and they wonder why they just don't have an inclusive environment. But I think the important thing is really experimenting, looking at your circle, and finding ways that you can break the edges of that circle to really make sure you're bringing an inclusive and welcome environment for everyone to come.
Very, very solid. I mean, I even in small form, when we set up events like this and we say, are we doing it in the right location? It's going to be in Chicago, right? But are we making it as accessible as possible? Can people make it in? Do we have the right times? Do we have the right dates? Even on a big scale. So for small scale, that's fantastic that you can move around the city, pick different times and dates, and you're going to lose a few people when you move from here to there, but you're also going to gain a few. Are you willing to make it flexible like that? That's really smart. Wow. Thank you for that. Thanks for that question. And don't forget your free dips. Hi there.
Hi, I'm Jake. I'm just Jake.
Hi, Jake.
Anyway, my love right now in this moment is for what you've been doing with this podcast. I got divorced last summer after 5.5 years of marriage.
Yeah.
Turned ugly between her and I, not in court or anything like that. Just communication just broke down, and it was ugly.
Yeah.
But being able to listen to the podcast, and I have a weird job where I work a lot. I work between 40 and 60 hours a week.
Yeah.
So, but I can listen to podcasts while I work, and this is one of them. So thank you for everything that you've done.
Thanks for saying that, Jake. I really appreciate that.
Hey, and so my main two people I want to throw this out to is you and Dr. Rhoda. I come from a family, a weird kind of family. My siblings and I are very, very close, and they are both aware of me being a little.
Mm-hmm.
I have a younger brother who it was kind of weird for him at first finding out about it, but they're pretty open-minded people. But the past couple of weeks, he and I have been discussing maybe starting a podcast that's just an ongoing conversation between me as a little and him as a vanilla, and kind of just as a way to put it out there for other littles that hey, if you need to, you can have this conversation with the vanilla, or for vanilla people that are being introduced to this is hey, here's something you can listen to. Here's this conversation between two brothers who live in a hyper-masculine rural area where this is not okay.
Yeah.
But we're both more progressive people anyway, so between he and I, it's cool. But hey, I wanted to know what your thoughts on that would be, if you guys think that would be useful, and also to put it out there to anybody else. If that does sound like something that you would want to listen to, please let me know, because he's kind of still on the fence about actually doing it, so.
That is so interesting. What do you think, Dr. Rhoda? Can you imagine the folks that you work with day after day listening?
I can. I think it's a great idea, because I often get people who wonder, should I tell my best friend, or should I tell a sibling, or because again, it goes back to the isolation. They feel like there's so few people they can talk to, and then they don't know how to talk about it or how to bring it up, or how to even help the other person have those conversations, and not just go either A, ooh, you're really weird, I don't want to talk about this, or B, it's ooh, that's cool, but I still don't want to talk about this, because they don't know how. And I think often that's the problem for people, is that even if they're supportive, they don't know what to say. They don't have the language. They don't want to offend you. They don't want to hurt your feelings. But at the same time, they just don't know what to say. And so they say nothing.
Yeah. Whenever somebody asks me if they should start an ABDL podcast, my answer is always yes. If you want to talk about how to do it, I have some thoughts that have helped me, but yes. I think it's one of my favorite episodes we ever did. It's hard to narrow. This is number 96, guys. Can you believe that? 96 episodes of this thing. I know. Yeah, thanks. I'm excited too.
I've listened to every single one.
Yeah, right on. And I'm glad we could keep you company through a difficult time. By the way, you guys, this community has kept me company through a really difficult time over the last year, so thank you for that. Should you start a podcast? Yes. One of my favorite episodes we did was with my vanilla best friend. And it was so fun to sit and drink far too much and talk about the experience of sharing that together. And I've gone back and listened to that one a handful of times. Yeah, thank you. I love that one because that dialogue is something that many of us fear. Many of us don't know how to go after. And many of us are really concerned that the end result is going to be a separation. And indeed, in our experience, because of the way we tackled it and because of who we are, this brought us together. So if your sibling already knows and you've already sort of figured out how to have that dialogue, I think the world could be richer from hearing that dialogue walked out. Cool. Yeah. Right. Thank you, Jake.
Thank you.
All right, our last question for the day. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Kaylee.
Hi.
Wow, I got up here and forgot what I was going to ask. No, my big love right now is getting to know the ABDL community and getting to experience everything here at the convention. It's my first time.
Awesome. First time here. That's fabulous.
So I work a job. I'm a computer programmer. I know, probably the only computer programmer here.
Yeah.
I'm looking toward retirement, not anytime soon, but way off in the future. Do you think there's a possibility of, and I know a while back you were talking about more conventions, more localized conventions. Do you think within 30 years we could see ABDL retirement communities?
Oh, what a thought that is.
Why
yes.
y'all laughing?
Why
It's funny you should say that. I was just having that conversation with someone earlier today, and we were talking about we need to all get this huge plot of land and build a bunch of little houses, and we have this. Well, not quite tiny house, but.
Dr. Rhoda's like, I want a decent sized house.
Some of us have a lot of stuff,
to be clear.
and we need a little more space than that, because yeah. But
houses with vaulted ceilings,
but to have a bunch of whole houses and a community center and build this ABDL community, a whole ABDL town or something, you know. And I think you could make it a retirement community. I think it's possible.
Wow.
I'm seeing more and more specialized retirement communities when I go visit my mom down in Florida.
Right,
So
yeah.
why not in 30 years in ABDL?
I've had this conversation with friends from the swinger community. We're like, we don't want to go to the vanilla retirement communities. That's going to be fucking boring. You're going to have to bleep that part out.
Everyone's socially reinforcing the rules they were taught to grow up with. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. I like to tell myself every retirement community is a swinger community. That's what I choose to believe, yeah.
Even the vanilla ones like to drink and...
Yeah. I think, what's funny is when you asked the question, it was a really interesting question. I saw people in the audience nodding hey, yeah, which means, hey, yeah.
I think if you put it out there...
We can create this shit,
it could be created. Look at everything else that's been created. CapCon was somebody's idea of hey, let's have this huge convention in Chicago.
They will come if you build it.
So
sometimes more than once.
I think it's a great idea. And, yeah, do it.
Cool.
Yeah, make it happen.
Kaylee.
Kaylee, make it happen. Thank you for that.
Just as Miss Panda Pants and I established, we need to find a good waste management company.
Yes, waste management is going to be a big issue. Yeah. I'll leave it at that. Friends, thank you for spending the last 90 minutes with us doing a live edition of Love and Brief here at CapCon. I do want to thank our panelists, Sleepy K and Bruce, Miss Panda Pants, Dr. Rhoda, Misty, and Kyle. How about a round of applause for our panelists? It is a tremendous honor and a tremendous privilege to get to do this podcast with you week after week. I'm going to do it, and RNT is going to do it, and all of our guests are going to do it for as long as you will let us. So thank you for supporting Love in Brief. Remember, our good friends over at Age Play Outfitters have said $5 off any pack if you just come over and say you were at the Love and Brief podcast. So thanks for that, Age Play Outfitters, and to the ABDL shop for their Trust samples. That's it for all the plug-in. Thank you guys. Have a wonderful rest of your CapCon. Let's do the one more time on the Love and Brief theme. You guys ready to yell Love and Brief real quick? Enjoy the rest of your CapCon, friends.